not really my problem to worry about, but I don't know why it does cross my mind. It's the fact that Aussies, the majority of Aussies are going down the trend of renting versus owning. And this is going to be perpetual generation upon generation of renters. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kids, do it for your grandkids, your entire family out of this rental game. Okay? And good luck to you. Hey everyone, it's Opie here for another video where we talk about health, wealth and happiness. So today I wanted to discuss a topic that actually keeps me up at night, and I do worry about this thing even though it's not really my problem to worry about, but I don't know why it does cross my mind. And here it is. It's the fact that Aussies, the majority of Aussies are going down the trend of renting versus owning, and this is going to be perpetual generation upon generation of renters, just like it has happened in parts of Europe. I mean, it is a sad state of affairs, and I didn't realize how much of a big deal this is until I started listening to Dave Ramsey. So he wrote this book, Total Money Makeover, and I feel like that this guy is less known than Robert Kiyosaki, and I don't know why that's the case, whereas I feel like this, his advice is more applicable to the masses. Like 95% of us would get value out of listening to Dave than Robert, because Robert's like a full-on passive investing and, getting into real estate shares and whatnot, businesses, which is all good. But for most people out there, they're just trying to become debt-free, save a nest egg, and then build wealth slowly, right? That's the most people's mentality. But once you get out of that, once you, the way I like to think of it is once you graduate from Dave's courses, then you can sort of take on Robert's stuff. But anyway, I feel like he's less known, but his advice is solid. And this is what I learned from him not too long ago, actually, a couple of years ago. It really stuck with me. And that's when I started thinking, geez, this is actually happening in Australia. And one of the things he was saying was the importance of having no mortgage or no rent to pay at retirement. I guess you can't really have no rent if you're a renter. So the only way to get out of this is basically you need to have some sort of housing without it costing you thousands and thousands of dollars every month, every week, every year. So the only way to do this is have a principal home of residence paid off by the time you retire. That might be 60, 65, 70, even earlier if you've got the money to do it. But the way that it's going at the moment, it's not looking good. So let me try and give you some numbers. I'm going to try and give you 5 reasons as to why you should try and get into a property. How you do it, I've covered in another video. I'll link that to it at the end on how to do it. But this is the why, okay? This is the why. So at the moment, I've printed out some stuff. So at the moment, in terms of average rents, I'll go through the major cities. In Sydney, you're looking at about $750. Melbourne, $580. Brisbane, $625. Adelaide, $630. Perth, $631. For some reason, they didn't think Hobart was big enough to list here, which is a bit weird. I'm sorry for anyone in Hobart. But it's probably around the 600, 500 range, right? Just ballparking. So that's what we're paying today. I want to sort of project this forward to 2050. So in 2050, you'll be paying in Sydney, $3,200, Melbourne, $2,400. This is per week, by the way. Brisbane, $2,600, Adelaide, $2,700, Perth, $2,700. It's huge numbers, huge numbers. So in terms of projected property values. Let me go through the property values at the moment. Just roughly the medium value at the moment in Sydney is 1.1 million. Melbourne, 770K. Brizzy, 900. And I'm just rounding up here, right? But let's look at whole numbers. Adelaide, 820,000. Perth, 800. Hobart, 660. Darwin, 500. Canberra, 850. Okay, let's project this now into what these values will be in 2050. And who knows if they're going to be right. Maybe if you're looking at this video in 2050, I'll be curious to know if these were on the ballpark. And I've ran these numbers through an AI, and I've set it to projected at a 5% growth. There was a 6% growth. There was a 5% option. There was also an 8%. So I sort of went in the middle and said 6% growth. What will it be? Sydney, 5.1 million. Yeah, that's right. So I had to take a double take on that one. $5.1 million is the medium in 2050. Melbourne, 3.8 million. Brizzy, 3.4. Adelaide, 3 million. Perth, 3.2 million. So basically what I'm trying to say is if you can buy a property today, pay it off gradually over the next 25, 30 years or so, you will have an asset that's worth this much. So obviously the value of currency will be lower then because of inflation and the value of our currency going down. But it's all relative, right? So we're comparing, $1 million, in Sydney, say 1.1 today to 5.1 now. So it's gone up fivefold effectively, roughly. These are huge numbers, and you might be thinking, hey, it's all good. I'll be getting the pension. I got some, I wouldn't say sad news, but there's no guarantee of a pension. Like there's no, this is why we've all been encouraged to have our supers, right? So if you have a super, great, you can, get supplemental income from that, but there's no guarantee of a super as we know it today. And even if you do, even if this exists, in 2050, I've looked at the numbers, you're averaging roughly around 13 to 18%, somewhere around there. So less than 20% effectively will be covered as part of rental assistance, actually much less than 20%. So say average of 15%. So 15% of paying $3,200, it's still a large chunk out of your savings that you have to pay to try and afford just basic housing. And when you go through, I was driving through Kensington today and I saw these tall high rises, massive, and they're commission houses. There's hundreds of people living in these. You really don't want to end up in a house like this. And I sympathize with you if you are in a situation like this and you are living at TAFE. My heart does go out to you, and I really pray that you can somehow save up and get out of that and buy yourself a home that you can call your own. I really pray that for you. But what I'm trying to say is when you're at retirement, it's best to avoid these situations. You don't want to be dependent on other people, especially when you're retired. So, in terms of my 5 basic reasons as to why you should have a home in retirement is one is stability and predictability. Once you have your house paid off by then, again, we're projecting out 25, 30 years. You're not going to have a mortgage repayment at that point in time. So it's predictable that, what your council rates might be, what your insurance are going to be. It's in terms of maintaining the house, hopefully it'll be predictable. There's not going to be any major issues with construction. Buy well, do a pest and building inspection to know that what you're buying is solid enough to get you through retirement and beyond. In terms of equity and asset value, so what you're doing is you're building asset without you even trying. By you making the mortgage repayment, you're paying down the level of debt that you've got, assuming you've got a principal and interest loan, which is a separate topic for another video. Whether that's good or bad it is really a separate topic, but I'm just going to use that as an example. If you have gone down that path, you'll effectively pay it off in 25, 30 years, maybe sooner if you can make more repayments. But what you're doing is you're building yourself an asset. What do I mean by that? If we use Sydney as an example, average house price is worth 1.1 million today. 2050, it's worth 5.1, effectively 5x, and you haven't effectively done anything super extraordinary than put a roof over your head, but you've got potentially millions of dollars worth of equity. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So the third reason is you got customization and control. What do I mean by that? You're not dependent on a landlord or anybody else to make modifications on your house. You want to put a split system on your house? Go for it. You want to put that painting of yourself and your grandkids, because this is a retirement, remember, you can do that. You don't have to ask anyone's permissions. You can do whatever you want. It's your house. That's the advantage of owning your own house. And I've always valued that. And it's definitely something that's priceless, right? There's no one telling you what to do in your own house. Again, so this is a, landlord dependency as well. So the fourth one is no landlord dependency, which is very similar to the third one. So this is different in the sense that you are not confined to a lease. You're not, you're not going to get kicked out. It's your house, right? Landlord is not going to say, hey, the rent is going to be jacked up by 20%, 10%, or I'm moving into this house now, therefore you have to find another house within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever. It's your house. So there's no dependency on anyone else. So it really does come back to the control of your own asset and a place for you to call your self, right? The last one is a legacy potential. So potentially, once you pass on, you can pass this asset onto your beneficiaries, whether that be your kids, grandkids, whoever it may be. It might even be a church or some religious organizations or a charity. Whatever you think, whoever are your beneficiaries, you can pass that on. Therefore, that legacy potential is there. So that's the 5, benefits of owning a home at retirement. So let me recap that. Stability and predictability, equity and asset values, customization and control, no landlord dependency, and legacy potential as well. I'm going to extend an olive branch and I'm going to give the opposing view here. There's only one real view that I can see for not owning one, and that's actually the flexibility or knowing, that you're going to live somewhere else meaning abroad. So for example, if you decide at retirement, I'm going to live in Thailand or Bali or some other country where you don't need a permanent residence here, you're okay in not receiving pension. Even if you want to receive a pension, I don't know what the agreement is back then. Maybe you have to sort of touch down on Aussie soil every 6 months. Whatever the condition is at that point in time, you're okay in living permanently abroad, then it might be a good case for not owning a property in Australia. But even with that aspect, I would say you might be better off, because you might be, if you choose not to decide to, not to live here, you can still rent out the property and get that income coming in your way. So potentially you could be making $3,200 in 2050, right? If you're in Sydney, or 2,400 in Melbourne, and Brizzy's 2,600. So, these are big numbers. I hope these numbers have sort of given you a fire in your belly to get moving, do whatever you have to do. And as I said, I've already made a how video in an earlier episode. Check that out. But thank you so much for listening. I really hope you got some value out of this. I really want you to succeed and get out of this renting game, because once you get into this renting game, it's really hard. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kids, do it for your grandkids, to get your family, your generation, your entire family out of this rental game. Okay. And good luck to you. I really hope this happens and we reverse this trajectory of Aussies continually renting and those renting numbers going up and the home ownership going down. I want to sort of flip that the other way. And before you even say it, I know there's other factors in this, like, immigration, regulation, the number of houses that are being built. There's a whole bunch of other factors. My short and sweet answer to this is ignore everything that you can't control. Focus on all the things that you can control and move forward. Thank you very much. Check out this video in the next one to find out how. Take care. Bye.